Cool, let's start. Hello everyone, my name is Toby. I'm a product manager at Gnosis and I'm going to talk about smart contract wallets. They have been becoming quite popular, and we at Gnosis, we are building a smart contract wallet ourselves, the Gnosis Safe, and this presentation will be about how popular smart contract wallets really are. And first, I'm going to first I'm going to do a small recap or brief recap on what smart contract wallets are and why they're great. And then I'm going to give an overview of which ones are out there, and I try to tackle those two questions: how popular are they, and more importantly, or also important, how much are they trusted? And so, and then I will conclude this presentation with a brief overview of what we are planning at Gnosis. So let's dive straight into what are smart contract wallets again. The key difference to regular wallets or so-called externally owned accounts is around access control. So in a regular wallet, you have one single private key. That key controls the account. You sign transactions with it. If you lose it, you cannot sign transactions anymore. If someone steals it, that person has full control. On the other hand side, smart contract wallets, they are controlled via their contract code. So this contract code defines who has access and when and under which circumstances. So you can implement recovery schemes, you can implement things such as allowances or daily limits, and you can implement also multi-signature schemes. So essentially, instead of just requiring one private key or the signature of a private key, you could say you need 2 signatures or 3 or more. Second difference, and that's more of a UX difference also, is around transaction fees. In a regular wallet, all the fees, the gas fees, have to be paid in Ether, generally. In smart contract wallets, in the code, in the smart contract code, you can define that they can be paid by third parties. So a third party could collect all the signatures, submit a transaction to the Ethereum blockchain. The contract code verifies if this transaction is allowed, and then it gets executed. And thereby you can implement gasless transactions. Essentially, someone or the third party just pays for all transaction fees, or you can implement token payments. So instead of using Ether, a wallet owner can use a token for transaction fees. Things like this are under specific circumstances possible in regular wallets as well. There's things such as the gas station network, but it only works with specific dApps. With smart contract wallets, this works with every transaction. And the last difference I want to mention is also a UX difference. With regular wallets, you would have to, if there's more than one transaction happening, the classic example is token approval, and then you're doing your action on your dApp, you would have to sign 2 transactions after each other. With the smart contract wallet, you can batch them together and only sign once. They're still executed sequentially, but there's only one signature, only one pop-up basically happening. There are many more differences, but those are just the 3 I want to mention right now. Coming back, first, that question, what smart contract wallets exist out there? The term isn't really properly defined. This is the list I came up with. So I will go into detail of the first 4. So, but there's way more. There's Monolith. There was a great presentation yesterday. Their main selling point is that they offer fiat off-ramp via credit card. There's Dapper. This is a stable-coin only smart contract wallet, which allows you to generate passive interest on your stable coins. There's Pillar. Among a lot of things, they focus on payments. There's a bridge. They focus a lot on the developer experience. There's Ethereum, something that launched just 2 weeks ago. And then there's also InstaDApp and the Oasis portal from Maker. Those I believe, don't market themselves as real wallets, such as the other ones, but they use a very similar concept under the hood. So they use proxy contracts. They're very popular, but I basically didn't consider them in the rest of this presentation, since they are not your traditional wallet. And yeah, I would have loved to include more of those, but time's limited, so I'm going to be focusing on those 4. I thought about how can we answer this question: how popular are those wallets and how much are they trusted? So, and basically by just looking at on-chain data, because this is the only thing I have access to for all of those wallets. And a simple measure for popularity is how many instances do exist and how many transactions have been made. And a simple measure for trust is how much funds they store, because essentially, well, all those contracts have been audited, people looked at them, they were written very carefully, but trust ultimately can only exist if they have been on the Ethereum mainnet for a period of time with a lot of funds, because then they become a target for white hat or black hat hackers alike, and only then you can really be sure. Maybe even then you can't be 100% sure, but the probability of a problem is decreasing. So it's not like a very scientifically investigation. The purpose of this was just to get a feeling for how much are they used right now, and well, how much are they trusted. And I looked at on-chain statistics of those measures above, which I pulled via Dune Analytics. Thank you for that service. I love it. Basically, they index the Ethereum blockchain, and you can query it via SQL. And yeah, the data I pulled was from a little bit more than 1 week ago. The first one, Gnosis Multisig. Again, disclaimer, I work for Gnosis, so I might be a little bit biased here, but this one was released initially in 2017. It is a classic multi-signature wallet used by many ICOs, for example, the Gnosis token sale and other crypto projects. And right now, it's pretty much the standard, basically the most trusted solution for high-value self-custodial crypto fund storage. There is a web interface that we provide, also a standalone desktop version. And there's also Multis, which also gave a presentation earlier today. They're using the contracts as well. And since I only looked at on-chain data, I couldn't differentiate whether it was basically someone used the contracts via Multis or via one of the interfaces that Gnosis provides. All right. This is raw data. So in total, we have more than 1 million Ether stored. There have been more than 3,000 contracts deployed, which made more than 40,000 transactions. And there's also more than $500 million of US dollars worth of ERC20s in all those contracts stored combined. Just the number of contracts doesn't tell much. Someone could just deploy a number of contracts and don't do anything with it. So to dig deeper a little bit, I also pulled numbers, how many contracts hold more than 1 Ether and how many contracts made more than 10 transactions. Compared to the 3,000, those numbers, well, are a little bit smaller. Also on the right-hand side, I put 2 tables. The upper one is a list of the top multi-sig contracts by their stored Ether amount. And so we see that the top 4 store each more than 100,000 Ether. And on the lower right corner, there is a table which shows the top multi-sigs by the number of transactions. So the top 4, which are not necessarily the same like above, the top 4 made more than 1,000 transactions. Again, just so to get a little bit of a feeling, a little bit of an understanding of the distribution of the Ether value and also of the transactions that have been made. Those exact same numbers I pulled for all the other wallets as well, so we can compare them. Next one, that's the Gnosis Safe. This is the successor that we developed at Gnosis of the wallet mentioned before. It's a new set of smart contracts, which are different. We have like they've been formally verified. We have a web interface available under this link. There's an Android and an iOS app. And again here, Unilogin is using those contracts. Alex made a presentation earlier at this conference. So same thing here. I didn't differentiate which Gnosis Safes have been deployed via one of our interfaces or via Unilogin. To this date, or so when I pulled that data, more than 80,000 Ether have been stored in Gnosis Safes. There are more than 2,000 contracts deployed, which made more than 10,000 transactions. And yeah, more than 2 million in US dollars in ERC20s are stored currently. Also, again, the two numbers, how many contracts hold more than 1 Ether and how many contracts made more than 10 transactions. Yeah, on the right-hand side, you see there's 4 contracts which hold more than 10,000 Ether, and there is basically 6 contracts which made more than 300 transactions. So numbers are lower compared to the Gnosis multisig, but there is already quite an amount of assets in those contracts. Next one, Argent. There was just a presentation on that by Julien at EthCC like an hour ago. Basically, Argent is a mobile wallet, and with CMNet UX, it's great to use. They have direct Dapper integration. They pay for all transactions within their wallet. The most interesting feature, in my opinion, is social recovery via guardians. So essentially, that concept that a predefined group of friends or devices, or essentially accounts, can give access to your wallet in case you lost your phone. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, and actually I should have probably compared the numbers with the team beforehand, I looked at their contract factories, and this is how I got the addresses of all Argent wallets. So there's more than 10,000 Ether stored in Argent wallets. There is almost 14,000 contracts deployed, which made more than 36,000 transactions, and also quite a significant amount of ERC20 tokens is stored in there. Especially the fact that there's Compound USDC and Compound DAI showing up here shows that, well, they have a direct Dapper integration with Compound, so that seems to be used. Also, comparing to the Safe, there's more contracts that actually hold more than 1 Ether, and also more contracts that are used or that made more than 10 transactions. So it seems like this is a wallet which is more for a daily use case, or used as a daily use case right now. On the right-hand side, you see again the distribution of stored Ether. So there is 4 contracts which hold more than 300 Ether, and there is 4 contracts which made more than 600 transactions. The last one I would like to mention here is Dapper. Dapper was released last year. It is built by the team behind CryptoKitties, and that's also what it's built for. So it's built for games and collectibles. They pay for all transactions as well, and it is available as a Chrome extension. So yeah, the main purpose was that you can use it for CryptoKitties, I believe. And this is represented in the numbers as well. It's not a wallet that's used for high-value Ether storage, but there are, compared to the 3 examples before, quite some contracts deployed, more than 27,000, which made more than 500,000 of transactions. Not too many ERC20s compared to the other wallets again, but a lot of NFTs in there. And yeah, the 2 tables on the right-hand side basically prove the same thing. If you would like to check out the data sources, there's dashboards on Dune Analytics, public ones, which you can check out. There you can also see which queries have been used, and yeah, if there's any inaccuracy in the data, I would love to learn how it can be improved. as part of this presentation, I really only look at very basic metrics. There's so many things to look at in the future. We could look at transaction types. Is it just simple Ether transfers? Is there ERC token transfers? Is it any Dapper interactions? We could look at retention and frequency of use for single wallets. We could look at other asset types, and also, probably most interesting, we could somehow compare the activity of smart contract wallets to the activity of wallets based on externally owned accounts in order to really know how popular they are, and probably many more things we could do. Coming back to the original question, now how popular are smart contract wallets? I put all the numbers again here on this table. The 4 wallets are on this side, and on top you see the different metrics. We see when it comes to fund storage, most trusted is the Gnosis Multisig, but there is a significant amount of Ether in both Argent and Gnosis Safe contracts. And while combining all those, this is roughly 1% of the Ether supply and circulation right now. When you look at a little bit the contract activity, there it becomes clear that Argent and Dapper are basically the ones that are popular right now, that people use sometimes even on a daily basis. When we look at the number of transactions, just from those 4, we see that if we sum this up, this is basically less than there is transactions on Ethereum daily. So just so we get a feeling for how many transactions are happening. And yeah, the ERC20 token value is quite similar to the Ether stored. So what I conclude from this is smart contract wallets are trusted. I mean, there is essentially not only looking at this, but looking at those 2 numbers, even new smart contract wallets, they are trusted, but they are not quite there yet. Like their popularity, there's still way to go, and there's still things to improve. So we can make the advantages of smart contract wallets really apparent to users. And that's why I would like to conclude this presentation with what we are planning with the Gnosis Safe. First, where we are is we have this foundation, which is the smart contracts. And then we currently have mobile apps, and we have a web interface. With the mobile apps that have been released first, we learned a lot. We tried to build something which is usable for both crypto newbies and technical users. We ended up with something in between, which is not really working for either side. And so we're trying to change this. We decided also with the web interface that we would like to first build something which is flexible enough, which is really not transparent, but which is really showing all the details, so something which is usable for crypto-savvy users. Because even them, even us, even projects currently in this space, they are bound to use, well, sometimes even the Gnosis Multisig, which is it is usable, but it's very hard to use sometimes. So yes, we are planning on changing that. So we are planning on building a flexible multi-signature interface, and we are planning on aligning our current mobile app to that, to first solve it for crypto-savvy users, and then in the future, once that is tackled, we can try to include others more, potentially. Second one, I mentioned it on the previous slide a little bit. There is quite some untapped potential in the Gnosis Multisig. There's more than 1 million Ether in there, and Dapper interaction is very hard. You would have to copy and paste transaction data in order to really take part in DeFi, for instance. And while it's very unlikely that we get all of those 1 million Ether into DeFi, there's still a high probability to get some of it in there if we provide a better way for smart contract interaction. So we are planning on offering a possibility for third-party developers to integrate into our Gnosis Safe interface with safe apps. If you'd would like to learn more about this, please talk to me after the presentation. And last but not least, we're working on a thing called Contract Proxy Kit. It is our attempt to unify the used proxy contracts out there for interoperability. So currently, each contract uses a little bit of a different proxy and then also a different master copy whose storage layout is not really compatible. So we always say, well, be your own bank, but currently you can't easily take your bank account from one wallet and move it to the other one. So we are trying to change this. Plus, this should be a way for third-party developers of dApps to leverage advantages of smart contract wallets, such as transaction batching or token payment. So this is the plan that we have with this contract proxy kit. That's it. Thank you very much. Yeah, are there any questions?
I was just curious, how far is the standardization? So can dApp developers now use the proxy contracts?
Yes, in our with our proxy kit, you could do it in a limited fashion. There are other approaches out there, such as Unilogin, Ethereum. You could use that as well, but we just started with that like a month ago. It is there's an initial release, so you could give this a try, and we're very eager to learn about the shortcomings of it and to improve it.
And do you already have, like from what I heard, the people from Blockchains LLC will be using the same proxy contracts. Do you have more adoption? Could you?
They will be using the contracts, but I'm not aware of how they will be interfacing with it. And as far as I know, they haven't released that yet. So maybe they contributed to those numbers. Maybe they but as far as I know, they didn't yet. Cool. Thank you.